What's good, everybody? If you hear noise, they're fixing the roof. Um, so today's video is about the New York Giants. Now, I'm doing this on my tablet, on my new tablet that I just bought yesterday, because my phone has storage issues, because it's a small phone. So the longer the video, obviously it's just going to end. Any video that's 5 minutes long, 20 minutes long, is going to end because it keeps saying I have a lot of storage, that I have a lot of apps that's not working or is out of storage or something like that. I'm gonna get a new phone soon, so I don't have to go through this bull crap. But yeah, today's video is about the New York Giants. Now, obviously, I was watching First Take today, and Dan Orlovsky, former quarterback for the Detroit Lions, he had his top 15. He had his top 15, top 15, top 5 sneaky quarterback teams, or sneaky Super Bowl teams, I should say, my bad. And he had the Giants at number 3. He had the Lions, the Broncos, the Giants. No, he had the Lions, the Broncos, the Giants. So he had the Lions, the Broncos, the Giants, the Jaguars. And I forgot the other team he had. But he had the Giants at number 3. Now, for me, I never set high expectations for the Giants. I know other New York Giants fans do. I never set high expectations for my Giants because they don't need it. They don't need fuel to, they don't want, or they don't need motivational speech to get them going to where they need to be. Is it important? Yeah. It does it help? Yeah. But I believe that the Giants are in a situation where they think that they are ahead of the pack, which they're not. I'll always be real when I talk about the Giants. I don't sugarcoat crap. I'm not like these giant contender or giant subscribers or YouTubers, I should say, that pander to them. I know what they're about. I know their history. I know what they bring every Sunday, and I know what they don't bring every Sunday. The Giants are a defensive team. They've always been a defensive team. Okay. From the days of Bill Parcells to the days of Tom Coughlin, they have always been a defensive team. They've always had good defensive coordinators over the years. They had Sean Payton, they had Perry Field, they had what's his name? What's his name? He was the defensive coordinator for us. Hold on, let me see if I can look up on my tablet. Alexa, who is the New York Alexa?
The New York Jets' next game is against the Buccaneers tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m.
See, I didn't even say that. They just Alexa, Who was the New York Giants defensive coordinator in 2007?
From NightAlienNews.com. When Steve Spagnuolo first served as Giants defensive coordinator in 2007 and 2008, he built his scheme around a defensive line so fearsome that it powered the franchise to an improbable Super Bowl 42 victory.
Okay, yeah, so it was Steve. It was Steve Spagnuolo in 2007 and 2008. So he spent a good 2 years there. And then we have Perry Fewell from 2010, I believe, all the way to 2013. We've never had a great offensive coordinator. Never. Name me one good offensive coordinator that we had that was obviously fluid. The Giants right now are trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I get it. The NFL, the direction the NFL is going, they need, or not the need, but the direction the NFL is going, the Giants need to score points because that's where it's going. That's where that's where the NFL is heading. It's going to be a lot of shootouts. It's going to be a lot of high scoring points. Because defense don't sell games anymore like they used to. So I understand why the Giants are loading up. I understand why the Giants went out and got who they got via draft, via free agency. I understand that. But if you understand the history of the New York Giants, their philosophy and their foundation has always been defense. Has always been defense. I mean, you could say Brian Dable, but Brian Dable don't even call the plays. So you can't really say it's him because he's not calling the plays. It's Mike Kafka. You can't really say, Brian Dable is the best head coach or best offensive coordinator that we had. You can't say that because he's not calling the plays. At least Mike McCarthy had the balls to call plays. Why he's not calling plays? He called Brian Dable called plays in Buffalo with Josh Allen because he felt comfortable with Josh Allen. I don't think he feels comfortable with Daniel Jones because if that was the case, he would have been calling the plays, right? He would have been calling the plays. So why? I feel like Brian Dable isn't comfortable with Daniel Jones. Because if that was the case, like I said, he would have been calling the plays. And I would trust Brian Dable play calling over Mike Kafka. And I believe Mike Kafka played in the NFL too. I think he was a backup to the Eagles. When they had Kevin Kolb and Michael Vick, I think he was like third string quarterback. Hold on, let me see if I'm right. Alexa, who did Mike Kafka play for?
From USAtoday.com. Kafka, who played QB for Andy Reid with the Eagles, first joined the Chiefs coaching staff in 2017 as an offensive quality control coach.
Alexa, was Mike Kafka an NFL quarterback?
Yes. Mike Kafka is a retired American football quarterback who played for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles in his career. Kafka is 36 years old and was born on July 25, 1987 in Oak Lawn, Illinois. Kafka played college football for the Northwestern Wildcats and was drafted in the 4th round of the 2010 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles.
My point exactly. See, I just had to double check, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he did play, I believe Eli Manning was the quarterback for the Giants that year. So, yeah, I don't trust Mike Kafka. Even though he played in the NFL, I mean, I don't know, but something about Mike Kafka rubs me the wrong way. I don't like his play calling. His play calling is vanilla. You know, we always get these ass offensive coordinators. You know, we never get any good ones. You know, let me see. Hold on. I think it was I think Alexa, who was the New York Giants offensive coordinator in 2007?
From ProFootballHistory.com. Gilbride was the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants in the 2007 to 2013 seasons, a total of 7 years.
Oh yeah, this was another one. He was another one that was trash. That's why Eli Manning had all these damn interceptions. Because all his schemes was just vertical routes down the field, you know. But Kevin Gilbride was another headache. But you can arguably say that Ben McAdoo was the Giants' decent offensive coordinator. I mean, he cut Eli Manning's interceptions down, you know. But yeah, Kevin Gilbride was not good at all. You know, I think he's the one who caused Eli Manning to have all those interceptions, you know. But yeah, like I said again, man, the Giants never had a great offensive coordinator, you know. Not that I know of. But, you know, yeah, so like I said, Dan Orlovsky had the New York Giants third as his sneaky Super Bowl team. There's 3 flaws there. Number one, the Giants are far from contending for any Super Bowl, to be honest. You know, because are they ready? Because they're going to have a lot of games this year in prime time. You know, they're testing Daniel Jones. That's why I think of it, or that's why I take away from it. They're literally testing Daniel Jones. Like, they know his record in primetime games is bad. He's 1-10. That one win came from the Vikings. Okay, he's 1-10 in primetime games. So he's not good at delivering in big moments, and that's very important. That's very highly important. Okay. Now, will he get over his woes? I hope so. You know, will he get over the hump? I hope so. I don't want him to be another Kirk Cousins or Tony Romo that can't get it done in big moments. You know, like, as much as we bash, not we, but as much as the media bashed Eli, you cannot fault him, well, you cannot blame him for showing up in big games. Oh, he's not a great regular season quarterback, but when the games matter the most, he's at his best. Right? He's at his best. So, I just think that we are far away from being a contention. Now, what do we need to make that next step? We need to go back to the 4-3 scheme. I'm sorry. We need to go back to the 4-3 scheme. And I know a lot of Giants fans are not going to obviously question that. Because when you're in a 4-3, you have to have linebackers that could go sideline to sideline. Like, if we had a Michael Parsons, then okay. You know, but we don't. We don't have linebackers like that, you know. Ever since Lawrence Taylor retired, it's like the Giants always had a hard time replacing Lawrence Taylor. You know, I thought it was going to be with Michael Parsons. We didn't draft Michael Parsons. So, I mean, I guess the Giants are just comfortable with plug-in players, you know. Because we heard a lot of comparisons to Michael Parsons and Lawrence Taylor and stuff. So he's a good kid. He's high motor, fast. Athletic. We don't got that. You know, our bread and butter was always defensive ends. We always had defensive ends right. We always had defensive tackles right. We always hit and miss on corners, but we had Corey Webster, Aaron Ross, Terrell Thomas. Like those were our best three corners that we had. And then we had Prince Mukamara and J-Ron Hosley, and Jack Rabbit, and DRC and Sam Madison and R.W. McQuarters. So we always nailed the cornerback position sometimes. But the linebacker position, we had not Lawrence Taylor, we had Antonio Pierce via trade from the Redskins at the time. And then LeVar Arrington came over from the Redskins to the Giants. Okay. Antonio Pierce was our last good linebacker that we had. And then Michael Boley, and then Jonathan Goff, and then John Beeson, and then, Jonathan Casillas, and, Dice Kimanuka. So we just been hit and miss on linebackers, Like that's the one position we can never get right. We could get any other position on defense right, except for linebacker. But playing in a 3-4, you have to have athletic linebackers. Teams that play in a 3-4 are the Patriots, the Ravens, the Steelers. Why? Because they always had great linebacker production. We didn't. Our bread and butter was always a 4-3 technique. 4 pass rushers, 2 linebackers, or 1 linebacker. So why we switched to 3-4, I don't know. Like if we had a Michael Parsons, okay, but we don't. Because playing in 3-4, you have less pass rushers. You have less pass rushers and more linebackers when you're playing in a 3-4. Right? So I just think that we should go back to a 3-4 scheme. This is not working at all. Secondly, Daniel Jones has to stay healthy. Okay? Now that Daniel Jones has weapons, he should throw more and less running. Unless the pocket breaks down, That's the only time I think he should run. But other than that, just fling it, You have receivers now. You have tight ends now. So, I'm not going to say there's no excuse, but, this was all the excuse of last year. Oh, he didn't have players. He didn't have, targets to throw to, this and that and the third. Now that he has pieces, we're going to see, I was looking at NFL Focus, and they have the Giants scoring 21 points per game this year. 21 points per game this year. Now, I know if you look at the games last year, the Giants was at least scoring 16, 15 points per game. This Giants team go as far as their defense takes them. I think, once again, the Giants defense is going to have to carry this offense. Why? Because like I said before, this Giants team is not capable of scoring with the best of them, right? They're not. Are the Giants talented enough against the Cowboys? Do the Giants match up well against the Cowboys? Yeah. On paper. But on the field, it's totally different. Like, do you trust Dak more than you trust Daniel Jones? Who has better overall support? Who has a better head coach? You know, Mike McCarthy, as much as we want to bash Mike McCarthy, he's won a Super Bowl. He's been there before. You know? Brian Dable has not. Why? Because he was always constantly getting his butt kicked by Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying that Brian Dable is a bad head coach. I just don't believe in him. I believed in Tom Coughlin. I believed in Jim Fassel. But Brian Dable is a head scratcher. You know? He's a head scratcher. Like, again, he don't even call the plays. So I don't know, like if you were to call the plays and then coach, then I understand. But he's not calling the plays. For you to have faith in your quarterback, you must call the plays. He did it for Josh Allen, but he can't do it for Daniel Jones. But then again, it boils down to play calling. If you look at the Giants' play calling last year, it was suspect. I'm not gonna lie. There were some games that wowed me, like the game against the Vikings in the playoffs, the game against the Seahawks last year, the game against the Ravens last year, which nobody thought that he was gonna win any of those games. Their play calling was crisp. You know, it was pretty good. You know. But there was head scratching plays where I just say, wait a minute, what the hell are we doing? You know? I just don't trust Mike Kafka. I don't trust Brian Dable at all. I don't know. You know, I mean, maybe if it was Sean Payton, I would have been a little bit settled. You know, because I like old school head coaches. I don't like these young, hip head coaches. They just don't move the needle for me, you know. And Sean Payton's been with the Giants before, you know. Like I said, he was our defensive coordinators in the 80s, I believe, or in the 90s. So he's familiar with the Giants organization, but I think he's been there, done that. I don't think he wants to go back to New York. You know what I'm saying? But we always get stuck with second fiddle, third fiddle, you know? Like, we never have a great offensive coordinator. We never have a great defensive coordinator. Outside of Steve and Perry Field, now we have a Wink Martindale, you know? I mean, 99% of this scheme is blitzing, you know? Because, again, we playing in 3-4. We have to use a lot of linebackers, you know? I think we have like two edge rushers, one defensive tackle, and we have like 4 linebackers, you know. And again, the Giants are a team that never got the linebacker position right, never, you know. And if you want to count Michael Boley and Antonio Pierce, yeah, then yeah, you know, from 2007 all the way to 2009. He had to retire because of a bulging disc in his neck, you know. So after that, our linebackers core got shot. I mean, Michael Boley did a pretty good job for us. But other than that, I mean, we just been hit and miss, you know. And then we drafted linebackers that was not even like Pacer, Spencer Paysinger, Jaquan Williams, Greg Jones. Who else we drafted? I mean, we just had a lot of inconsistent linebacking production, you know. And then we had to rely on veterans like Jonathan Goff and John Beeson, you know. So, like, it was a disaster, you know. It really was a disaster. But On the bright side, like I said, I don't want to be the Grinch of the New York Giants. Um, Daniel Jones will have a bounce back year. I totally believe that. I believe Daniel Jones will have a bounce back year. Not really a bounce back year because, but if you really think about it, he did throw 15 touchdowns. He threw more interceptions than he threw touchdowns because he didn't have a number one receiver, which I don't think we need a number one receiver. I just think that we need a receiver that we can rely on, year in and year out, like Toomer, very protective receiver, never got hurt. Well, I'm not gonna say never got hurt, but he wasn't consistently hurt, Like he never made a Pro Bowl. That's weird, I mean, he leads the Giants in yards, touchdowns, receptions. I believe. I think it's just touchdowns. With 55 or 54 touchdowns, but he's never made one Pro Bowl. I don't think he cares. I mean, I think if you would have asked him which one is more important, making 13 Pro Bowl selections or winning one Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure he'll pick the Super Bowl. I mean, you know, like, come on, man, Pro Bowl selections, ain't nobody watch that crap. I mean, back then I did because they had Sean Taylor in it and a whole bunch of great players. But now it's just, now they just turn it into flag football. They just say bump the helmets. They no helmets. No shoulder pads. We'll just put like flags around your waist and go from there. Which is not a bad idea. I mean, but But yeah, man. But back to the situation I was talking about. Yeah, the Giants are far, far away from contending. They really are. I think they're probably a good couple of pieces away. The linebacking core is still suspect. I mean, the secondary is it really good enough? I'd say that outside of Xavier McKinney, do we have another stud free safety? Um, so those are the only two areas that concern me: the offensive line, the linebacking core, and the secondary. I think the wide receivers are going to be fine. The offensive line, the secondary, the linebacking core, the quarterback core, and the running back core. Those are the five issues I have with the Giants. Because number one, we don't have a competent running back if Saquon Barkley goes down, or he needs a break. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not gonna count on the rookie to, like rookies don't pop like that anymore. Um, so the Giants need a competent running game. Just like how they had in Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw and Derek Ward. Earth, Wind, and Fire. We need that type of, you know, production. Quarterback, if Daniel Jones goes down, knock on wood, if he doesn't, who's going to step in if Daniel Jones misses a game or two? Like, are we really counting on Danny DeVito and Tyrod Taylor? That's why I say you have to have structure in every position. Because if your quarterback goes down, you're going to be a sitting duck. Because Danny DeVito may not play the same way as Daniel Jones. Tyrod Taylor may not play the same way as Daniel Jones, right? So you need a good, solid backup in case he goes down. Linebacking core. Are we good at linebacker? Tom Thibodeau, Kayvon Thibodeau, Argilari, Carter that we drafted from Georgia. We have young linebackers. So I just think that the Giants have issues still that needs to be resolved. Um, but if they can fix those five positions, then I think they have a shot at at least contending for a Super Bowl in the near future. But for now, no, no, I'm sorry. Um, I don't see it. But you can only go up from here. I don't see that. I mean, I can't really see the Giants digressing. But then again, I mean, most people might say that last year was a fluke. We finished 9-8, one playoff game, and then we got thrashed. We got bamboozled by the Eagles. Bad. Um, and I've been saying this all year. Last year, you know, like the Vikings defense was nasty, good, bad, I should say. It was bad because I got a lot of Vikings games for some odd reason, because I live in Tampa. So the way I thought I was gonna get a lot of at least Jaguar games, Miami Dolphins games, Tampa Tampa Bay Tampa Bay Buccaneers games, but I got a lot of Vikings games for some odd reason. And their defense was horrible. Horrible. They couldn't stop a cold. You know? So the reason why a lot of Giants fans don't bring up the Giants, the Vikings defense. Oh, we beat the Giants. Oh, we beat the Vikings. No, you beat the Giants. You beat the Vikings defense. Like you beat the Giants. You beat the Vikings defense. Offensively, they were okay. It was just defensively they couldn't stop nobody. And a lot of Giants fans got their hopes up. Oh, we're gonna beat Philly. We're gonna beat Philly. I told my own boy, like, listen, the Eagles are a better team than us. They got a better defense, better offense. There's no way that we're gonna lose this game or we're gonna win this game. And he said, okay, we didn't bet or anything. It was just like a mutual bet, like a handshake, like, because he's an Eagles fan too. So, I said that, like, look, straight up, like, y'all got this either way. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all not gonna choke this game away. As soon as that whistle blew, y'all bang, 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 bang. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, constantly, a revolving door. We couldn't push the ball, we couldn't run the ball. We had to rely on trickery to at least score the one touchdown with Saquon Barkley. It was bad. It really was bad. And then Giants fans think this year, oh, we're going to beat Philly again. As long as the Giants have to put 4 good quarters together to beat Philly. 4. 4 good, solid quarters to beat Philly. Now, can they do it with the weapons that they got? I don't know. I still think the Eagles' defense is better, and they just got better by signing Miles Jack and some other good linebackers, young linebackers. So it might probably take some time for them to gel together and stuff over these next 2 preseason games. But the Eagles' offense and defense is still elite, in my opinion. And we are nowhere near the level that they're at. Now, can we split a game this year against them? Hopefully. Hopefully. I mean, I'd rather do it on Christmas than on the last day of the season, because we faced them on Christmas and then we faced them on the last on the last day of the schedule. So, and then we faced the LA Rams in between, in the middle. So I hope we can snag one of those games. Maybe they wrap up the NFC East. They have a good division record. They have a good regular season record, and then they sit out. Hurts. I could possibly see that. I could possibly see us winning that game. You know, but I don't think we're gonna get swept by anybody this year. I think everything. I think every division game that we got is gonna end up in a tie. You know, we're gonna have a lot of tiebreakers. Um, but yeah, I just think that the Giants right now they're trying to pick up the pieces. You know, they're trying to build off what they did last year, which is good. But I think this is the year they're gonna take a little bit of a step back, and then next year they're gonna be ready to go. You know, they're gonna be fully focused on ready to go. Um, because I still don't trust Daniel Jones at some time in big games. If it's not a 1 o'clock game, I trust him. But if it's like a 8 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, I hold my breath. I never had to hold my breath against Eli. There were some games that I did because he was just throwing so many interceptions. I said, "Damn, is this guy even the right quarterback for us?" You know. Um, but he sucked it up. You know, he went out there and he delivered us 2 championships. Um, Now he did this in his 4th year. Daniel Jones is in his what, 3rd, 4th year? Because I believe Eli Manning was 25 when he won his first Super Bowl, and I believe he was 30 or 31 years old when he won his second Super Bowl. So Daniel Jones got 4 good years left in him, or not 4 good years, but he has. I don't know. It's gonna take a lot of time. It's gonna take. I don't know how much time it's going to take for Daniel Jones to overcome that hump. But he has to win these important games. You know, he has to win these important games because everybody is looking at him now. You know, the microscope is on him now. So he's gonna have to, find a way to win at least 6 of these primetime games or 5. You know, like if he goes 6-13, let's say he just loses 3 primetime games, then he goes 6-13. I'm okay with that. But I mean that's the difference between Eli and Daniel Jones. Eli Manning stepped up to the plate when the games mattered the most. Daniel Jones, not so much. Like that's the thing about Giants fans. Giants fans don't want to focus on the weakness. They just want to think about the positive, which is good. But sometimes you have to play devil's advocate too. You know, you have to look at the good and the bad. You can't just look at one side of the field. You know, his interceptions did. He don't get sacked much, which is pretty good. But is that resulting into wins? You know, which it did last year. But you know, I mean, a schedule is a schedule. Who's ever on your schedule is who you face. You know, but I just had questioned this. I just questioned this offensive line. Is this offensive line going to give Daniel Jones time to throw the ball? Are we going to see what we saw in the preseason against the Lions? Now, obviously, with backups, I understand that, but you know, like you paid Andrew Thomas all this money. Evan Neal is probably going to be up pretty soon for his contract. We have to get the rest of the offensive linemen right. We can't just get 2 offensive linemen down and expect this offensive line to gel. You know, like we need to pull a Cowboys, tactic. Every single year, what did they do? They went out and drafted the offensive line. They didn't get pretty. They didn't get too cute. They went out there and drafted offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman. While analysts and fans were raged and upset, like, oh my God, you take an offensive lineman over, this elite pass rusher or this elite offensive line, this elite wide receiver or this good tight end or this good defensive player. They knew what they was doing. And look at that, 2014, DeMarco Murray had his best statistical year. I think he broke Eric Dickerson record or tried to break his record. I mean, anybody could run between that offensive line. But the Giants have failed to fix it. And you saw that in that 2010 season, right? Like, look at that game against the Colts Sunday night. It was bad. It was bad. I literally was watching the whole entire game for 1 hour. It was bad. I mean, David Dill couldn't block to save his life, and they was deteriorating. That offensive lineman that had been with the Giants from 2007 all the way to 2010, they was deteriorating. You know, like they was falling apart. Like from 2007, they only allowed 4 sacks. When 2010 hit, they allowed 12 sacks. So that meant that offensive line was falling apart, and the Giants did not do their due diligence to fix it. They just went out there every single year in the draft and got skill players to somewhat cover the bandage. But the damage was already done. You saw that. You know, the stretch where the Giants was bad. They went 6-10, 6-12, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 6-12. It was because of bad offensive line production. It wasn't really because of Eli Manning was deteriorating. It was just bad offensive line. You know, and they went out there and got Justin Pugh and Eric Flowers, and that didn't work. You know, and then they went out and got, you know, or drafted Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal. Andrew Thomas had a bad rookie year, bounced back the year after. Evan Neal had a bad rookie year. He kind of bounced back, you know, the year after. So, yeah, it all starts up front. You know, it all starts up front. You know, you have to secure the offensive line before anything. You know, because they make the team run. You know, they may not be the most important position on the field, but they're the most key element to the team. Because you can have a great running back, you can have a great tight end, you can have great receivers, but if you have a trash offensive line and you're running for your life every 5 seconds, ask Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. He was running for his life because he was out his 2 best offensive linemen, and he had to replace them with undrafted rookies. Like, he was constantly running for his life. But when you do have great offensive linemen help, you hold on to the ball too long, Daniel Jones. So, I'm going to stand by my prediction. The Giants will go 7-10, but they will have a bounce back year next year. I just think that they're going to take a little step back. Because if you look at strength of schedule, it's not. I mean, those first 2 games, they can start 2-0. I could see them starting 2-0, and then that have them going on a 6-game losing streak. And then they're gonna somewhat start climbing back in the middle, and then after that, you know, after that Packers game, I have them losing. I have them losing to the Saints. I have them losing to the Eagles, the Rams, and then the Eagles again. So finish their season 7-10. the NFL, what the NFL does is they don't recycle the same team over and over and over like the NBA does. You know, unless you're good, you're marketable, then they'll keep you on TV. You know, if you're good, you're marketable, you know, they'll keep you on TV. But if you're not, then, you know, every 5 years or every year, they select like five brand new spanking teams to make the playoffs. Now, the Giants made the playoffs last year. The year before that, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans was in the same dilemma as the New York Giants last year, or the year before last year, when they had Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, right? They won a division, they won a playoff game, got bounced out in the second round. What did the Giants do this year, or last year? They started off the season great, you know, won their first game against the Titans, you know, had a pretty good, solid year, won a playoff game, got bounced out in the second round. But look at the Titans this year. Now, obviously, Derrick Henry was coming back from injury, so he wasn't really himself. But if you look at the Titans last year, they really was a shell of themselves. You know, they didn't run the ball right. They had inconsistent plays. You know, it was just a whole, you know, it was just a disaster. But for me, it boils down to play calling. It boils down to play calling. It really does. Because Daniel Jones can have his best year. If Daniel Jones is supposed to have his best year, Mike Kafka is going to have to open up the kitchen sink. He really has to. No more vanilla passes, no more checkdowns. You know, now if you see a coverage that you like on the defensive side, then yeah. But I'm not saying you to fling it every single time. You know, like if there's a coverage that you like, one single safety, you know, go for it. You know, but if it's a good defense that you know you can't throw on, get creative. You know, do something else. But that's all I have. Like, comment, subscribe. Finally, I'm not really interrupted by my phone. You know, because at this juncture, it would have freezed and I would have stopped the video right now. So, or I would have had to end the video without me even saying, you know, my catchphrase. You know what I'm saying? So, like, comment, subscribe. On the road to 1K. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.